Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've got top Republican political expert Charlie Kirk, who was in Greenland, if you guys remember, back with Don Jr. in January to survey Greenland and to do some moderate propaganda spreading within the country. Now, Charlie Kirk has said on his show, he said, yes, this is still happening. We have to tread lightly. We have got to get the Russia-Ukraine situation solved, and then we'll parlay that possibly into the annexation of Greenland. This is really what I've been saying recently about Trump possibly saying, well, I mean, if Putin is going to annex territory, we should get some support in our annexation of Greenland. And it's been tough the past 4 or 5 months. The propaganda, I mean, I don't even think they're trying. I mean, there were reports that they were going to do some type of propaganda campaign within Greenland, but there really isn't a campaign that's needed. If you just want to take it over, you can take it over. They don't have a military. They're not going to stop us. NATO's not going to stop us. They're going to be angry. But what are they going to sanction the United States of America? It's not going to happen over a country with 57,000 people. We want to be nice. We want to do it very, very peacefully. And we want to help the people. And that's right. Look at this. Charlie Kirk says, I'm still in touch with the people from Greenland. I'm trying to be careful because I'm not a government official. So I don't want to get too involved with all of that stuff. And so let's see some of this. We'll play a little bit of this.
Oh, I believe it's still being worked on, but understand that the Russian situation is not disconnected to the Greenland situation. President Trump's entire foreign policy worldview, the MAGA doctrine, as we've articulated a couple times on this program, is hemispheric dominance. But in order to first have hemispheric dominance, you must sunset the conflicts happening in other parts of the world. So think about what he's already done. India, Pakistan, Congo, Rwanda, Israel, Iran. We got to get this Gaza situation figured out, which I think the president will do. And then, of course, we have Russia, Ukraine. And Russia, Ukraine is the big one. That is the prize. And as President Donald Trump is meeting with Vladimir Putin, getting that done and getting that sealed, President Donald Trump can shift all of his focus into our hemisphere. You see, he wants to hermetically seal the entire Western Hemisphere. And part of this, though, the Greenland component, not just the oil, not just the rubies, not just the gold, not just the rare earth minerals. Can we put the picture back up on screen, though? That's its location. If you are really worried about Russia, and if you want to be able to have hemispheric dominance also against China, you know, we have a major air base in Greenland already. People say, how dare do we want to have American, presence in Greenland? We already have American presence in Greenland. We have a very well-staffed, important, I think it's a Space Force base and an Air Force base. And as you remember, I visited Nook back in January with Donald Trump Jr. They're great people. There's only 50,000 people in the country of Greenland. It's like 55,000. You guys can fact check me on that. And I'm still in touch with people.
Yeah, it's about 57.
From Greenland. I'm trying to be careful because I'm not a government official, so I don't want to get too involved in all that stuff. But the vibe is this. The move needs to be allow the people of Greenland to first use personal autonomy and agency to, it's 56,000 people in Greenland. I was right. To disconnect from their Danish masters. Remember, Greenland is part of Denmark. It could be a referendum. It could be a vote. Whatever process it is, we want to engage in popular sovereignty. And then allow...
Well, I'll just tell you, the problem with that is we don't know the timeline. And this is kind of the intro look at the Greenland situation. What he is saying is, and this would be the ideal maneuver, it's to allow them to be independent. But if they became independent, obviously they would be reliant on someone because of the amount of subsidies they get from Denmark. They do want to be independent from Denmark, but it gets nuanced because if you look at their last election, the election that happened maybe in February, everyone was talking about, well, this seals it. Look at the two parties that came in first and second place. They want to be clearly independent of Denmark. But the party that came in first place, and the way these countries do, I mean, they got like 5 or 6 different parties. The first place got like 30% or whatever. They want to separate, but in a slow fashion. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean a year? Does that mean 3 years? Does that mean, I mean, that could mean anything. The party that came in second place, they want aggressive, more immediate independence fully. They already became partially autonomous in 2009, but they want the full independence. So I understand what he's saying. The issue is, and this is kind of the more, there has to be a next step to where these people, they're not, and look, maybe it'll happen. I mean, it's only, we're only what, 7-8 months into the administration. There might have to be a nudge or just a takeover or some type of thing to where you can facilitate acquiring Greenland from Denmark and saying, does Denmark really want something? We're just going to take it over. Or do you want $30 billion? Because you can say, well, we want them to practice popular sovereignty. We want them to practice the ability to full autonomy. But, you know, what would stop Greenland from then making a deal with the European Union over the United States? So, you know, there's a number of nuanced things when it comes to wanting them to be independent. That's why it's almost like, well, let's just take it over and then in good faith negotiate with Denmark and give them an ultimatum and said, we're either going to take this over for nothing or we'll give you money for this because we still want to have a relationship with Europe. Honestly, I don't even know if that's the right thing. You might as well just take over the island. But you know how it is with the moderns, and you can't do this. I mean, Putin is annexing territory. I mean, but, and this is 50, he said 56. Yeah, I know it's about 57, but it's a very small amount of people. That's the biggest key with Greenland is the population. And that doesn't mean the 57,000 people don't matter, but it is such a small population density. It has to be. The entire island is glacier ice outside of the coasts, specifically the southern coast. You know, the biggest deposit of rare earth minerals is within the southern sphere of Greenland. It's untapped rare earth minerals, the biggest deposit. So let's see what he says here.
Greenland the opportunity to be part of the United States of America, no different than either Puerto Rico or Guam. It does not have to be a state. It does not have to be part of a state. It can be a territory. And the argument that needs to be made to the people of Greenland, you will be wealthier, you'll be richer, and you will be protected.
Well, it cannot be a state. Greenland, if it joined the U.S., it would have to be a territory because if it applied for statehood, there's a population requirement. It doesn't come close to it now. The thought is it would get grandfathered in as a state. Remember Alaska? Remember Alaska Territory? Well, it was like 5 different things. It was like Republic of Alaska, Alaska Territory, and then it finally became a state because people migrated. The people of Greenlanders may be wary of that if we did add Greenland. Remember, now they've got the fully connected flights straight to Nuuk from New Jersey. Newark Airport is what it is, to Nuuk. So what else did he say there at the end? He said, we'll give the people of Greenland. Yeah, and that's the other thing. The point is, Kirk is confirming this is still a possibility. People are saying, well, now let's wait till after the midterms. You know, this is a very unpopular thing. People don't really understand. And this is where they get Trump for fascism by trying to take over this very small country. It's an Arctic, it's very low population density. The United States defended Greenland in the 40s. We saved them from potentially Nazi Germany occupation of the island. And we do have a space base on there. He's right. We do have an Air Force base, I believe, as well. We have a presence in northern Greenland. You know what? We might just need northern Greenland. I've been hearing about maybe we annex northern Greenland. I don't know. And we leave southern Greenland alone. But we want the Arctic presence. We want the shipping lanes. It's Arctic land presence. That's the importance. That is the most important thing. It's not rare earths. I'm telling you, it is the control of Arctic landmass. And the presence in the surrounding, you can see Baffin Bay, the Davis Strait, and also the Northwest Passages, which are legitimately right here. I mean, you see all these small islands and inlets. That's where Nunavut is. And so, you know, we understand what's going on here, but the point is we need to kickstart this at some point. If Trump wants to do it, there has to be pressure, or there has to be a deal, or at least a negotiation to the people of Greenland. And he's right. Yes, the people of Greenland would be more wealthy. We could offer them rebates. We could offer them money. There's 57,000. It would be very, very simple to give them all a substantially upgraded situation. And we know when we acquire territory, no matter how much we're spending, in 50 years, it's going to be a positive for the United States, as long as it's not a stupid acquisition. But you acquire Greenland with the situation they have right now, where they don't want to be ruled under Denmark, and technically they are partially autonomous already. But when Kirk says, well, you know, they need to decide for themselves, okay, well, how do we need to force that to happen. Basically, that's what it is, because you know, who knows if they're going to decide within the next 2 or 3 years. But I have heard people say, well, it's inevitable. And a lot of the liberals are now saying, and the smarter ones, they're saying, yeah, Trump is probably going to have to annex Greenland and the 3 northern Canadian territories. And it's based off of Arctic strategic presence, and it's based off of how weak Canada is and how weak Greenland is. Greenland doesn't have a military. And they're saying, well, this is what I think. Trump will have to form a relationship with the Russians, and the Russia will have to endorse our annexation of Greenland, and we will have a ton of the Arctic, and basically all of the Arctic control with us and Russia. And then we take I mean, Canada is basically an extension of us to a degree, and they have their 3 northern territories within the Arctic as well. It's on the footprint. It's on the Arctic Circle footprint. So we're going to have full control with the Russians of the Arctic. That's the hope. But how do we get there? How do we coax this? How do we do this without Trump getting, you know, just people are going to get angry and stuff? And I don't know. I mean, listen, this is Greenland suffers from many outages. They have very, very cold temperatures in the winter. Their power goes out. It's a big problem. And they're getting money from Denmark. I mean, we could significantly upgrade it and give them a lot more in terms of, I mean, think about, just for perspective, I mean, we make $40 billion a month in tariff revenue. We'll give you $100 billion for Greenland. That's 2 months of tariff revenue. This is why Trump is a legitimate, unbelievable president. We'll give you 2 months of tariff revenue for Greenland. And then people say, well, you can't do that. Well, why not? Why is Denmark controlling Greenland? Greenland is within the North American footprint, the North American sphere of influence. It's not right next to Europe. It's right next to Canada. And so, and by the way, again, if you want to talk about Greenlanders, and look, yes, there could be the thought of, well, what about the migration onto Greenland? By the time Greenland, and they might be wary of that, because there is going to be industry buildup, and I can understand that. But if the cost of living and the overall life quality is elevated, that becomes a trade-off if there is migration from the lower 48 to Greenland. So the real thought is that, well, if Greenland ends up becoming a state, because they talk about Greenland, it's not possible for it to become a state. It would have to apply for statehood. This is the thing with Alberta. Alberta could be a state. It would probably take 4 or 5 years because it's a long process. But that's because of its population of 4 million. It gets 8 or 9 electoral votes. If Greenland tried to become a state, it's not feasible. They don't have the population for it. But there'd be a migration, just like with Alaska. And you know what? With Alaska, we made a deal with them, and we said the natives to Alaska, when we mineral extract from Alaska, you will get a percentage of that. It's the same thing with Greenland. So not only would we invest into their infrastructure, when we start our rampant mining of the rare earths, they get a cut of it. And so it's a good deal for everyone involved, and that's the whole idea, and it improves the life quality. And we might even just be interested in northern Greenland, honestly, because of the Arctic. But I think it'd be better just to have it as a territory. It's not a state. They're not voting. Yes, if there's migration within 20 or 30 years, they become a state. They're probably a conservative state. Yeah, right now they're liberal, but I'm saying if there's migration, that most people moving into a cold climate are not going to be. They tend to be more conservative. So that's really what it is. And Kirk is like, well, yes, they're still talking about it. He has to be vague about it, and he's saying this is what needs to happen. But how do we, and I agree, I think the best way would be Greenland fully becoming independent. The problem is Greenland would have to have, because of the subsidies they take from Denmark, they would have to have another plan already in place. They're not going to become independent of Denmark with no plan. The well would dry up. The subsidies would stop. If you get 1/4 of your GDP from subsidies from Denmark, why would you demand independence from Denmark without a plan? So they would have to, and the thought is that, they are infested with all the EU propaganda. So what's to stop them from doing a deal with the EU to where, oh, now they get subsidies from a combination of Germany and France and Italy and Poland. And then there's some type of mining, because they've already done a mining deal now with the UK. Now, obviously, that's a separate from the EU, but it's still, a major European country. So they are infatuated with Europe. You could say they're a proxy to the EU because of the Denmark ownership. They're a proxy to NATO. But my concern would be if they did decide to fully be independent, even if we offer them something better, because of the propaganda, because the fact that they are a proxy to the EU, what's to stop them from doing some type of deal with the EU to where they keep their independence and they get subsidies now from a combination of countries within the EU in exchange for Arctic control? So the idea is, if you just secure the island, if you're the United States, we'll give you $30 billion. We want to do it diplomatically. We want to throw you a bone. Here's a little tip to Denmark, because this is going to be a sale, right? I mean, that's really what it would just be. There's no fight. There is no fight on Greenland. There is no military. There is no army. We have the only real military with the bases on Greenland. We come to Greenland. We secure the island. That's all that would happen. There's no battle for Greenland unless the European NATO countries want to get really funny. And I don't think they want to do that against the United States. I don't think they want to test their luck against the United States for a territory in our own backyard. I don't think that would work out really well for those European countries. Because we know there's been in the past, they're going to send bobsled teams to secure Greenland from the United States, and France was going to send troops, and it's all, they were sending like the dog sled stuff. It's all a joke. So Kirk says, well, let's let them become independent. And look, the time we have to force it because they're not doing it fast enough. But no, I agree. It's only 7 months into the presidency. Maybe it happens, during year 3. That's the thing that people have to understand. It's like, well, now Trump is a taco on Greenland. He's not doing it. No. It takes time for these things to work out. The thought now is that, and this is from people who are saying, let's let Trump solve Russia, Ukraine. Now Zelensky and other NATO people are like, I mean, what Trump is doing is amazing. Even the Ukrainians are saying this is awesome. We're meeting Trump. We can't wait. He is the peace president, and he's got a great deal for us. I mean, that's what I've been hearing. And apparently Putin and Zelensky and Trump are possibly going to be meeting as early as next Friday. And so now we could get Ukraine and Russia on board, and we just maybe sneak in a little provision. This is a peace deal. And then at the bottom in fine print, the United States is also going to be annexing Greenland. Now, it's not going to work out like that, but we could get support from the Russians, possibly, and a better relationship, and say, listen, we want Arctic control. We do have Alaska, but we want all of the North American footprint Arctic territory to be able to secure North America, to make it safer for Canadians and Greenlanders. And all of these things come together under U.S. governance, under U.S. control. Oh, but that's an empire. That's terrible. Really, us acquiring a territory that's in our sphere of influence that has 57,000 people, that's us becoming an empire? Seriously, that's not a state. So we went from 50 states to 50 states when we acquire Greenland, if it happens. We're really an empire. It's fear-mongering. It's ridiculous. It's a false equivalency. Yeah, we're an empire because we expand. We bought a sheet of glacier ice. So don't fall for that. And also Greenland is warped on a map. It's actually smaller, but it is still a big territory, but it is smaller than the map depicts. It's just like Russia is smaller, Africa is bigger. I think the United States is a little bit smaller. It's how it's projected on a map. But that's basically it. And so Kirk is saying it's gonna happen, guys. That's enough. That's gonna do it for this video. Make sure you like the video down below. Also follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.